Hello and welcome here to Talking CB and welcome back to the channel here today for the review of the game between Barcelona and Sporting Gijón, and quite a spectacle it was at the Camp Nou as we continue to build that momentum ahead of the PSG game. Of course, this weekend we've got Celta Vigo, and then in the midweek that follows that, around this time in the middle of next week, it is the showdown. Can we do it? Can we come back? Who knows? But today we needed to win, we needed to build that confidence, and we needed to make sure we went top of the league again, because we are currently, as it stands, top of the league by 2 points. Real Madrid currently have 2 games in hand on us. They will play Las Palmas at the Santiago Bernabeu later on tonight to see if they can go back top of the league. But tonight it was a really convincing display from us. We played a team in Sporting Gijón who admittedly looked like a team who are currently in the relegation zone. They'd also rested a few of their players because they got a very, very big relegation fight on this weekend. So they rested some players for that game, which meant they were weakened. And that was clear, to be honest. They made a lot of mistakes, but credit where it's due. You can only beat what's in front of you. The players came out with the right attitude, which is always important in games like these. We struck early, we were very, very clinical in front of goal, and we played very, very well, to be honest. You know, it started off very, very early on. Lionel Messi inside 10 minutes, getting us ahead. It was a ball from Mascherano, which at the time looked like Messi might actually be offside because he was so far advanced beyond the Sporting backline, who seemed to push up and step up to try and catch him offside. Messi scored a quite uncharacteristic headed goal. It was nicely worked straight into the back of the net, and on the replay though, he was clearly onside. It was a brilliant run from Messi. He made it from deep. He was working his way up the pitch. Mascherano saw that. I think it was one of his first assists in La Liga, if I read the stat right on Twitter. But it was a very, very important early goal, and the second goal followed just a few minutes after that. Luis Suárez was put in on goal again. A fantastic assist from Neymar. It was a ball played from a very, very wide angle out on the wide left. He played it into Luis Suárez. He took it round the keeper and he smashed it across goal, but unfortunately it did look as though it was going wide, and it was actually turned home by Sporting's own Rodriguez. So that went down as an own goal, but inside 11 minutes it was already 2-0, and you were thinking here, this is going to be very, very bad for Sporting. But credit to them, they kept coming at us, and it was a sort of makeshift back three tonight, which at times when we had the ball, when we didn't have the ball, we changed shapes. We saw the back three work very, very effectively, particularly in that second half against Atletico Madrid. And I think that's what Luis Enrique tried to implement tonight. He sort of went with Mascherano, Titi and Jordi Alba all playing as a back three. When we didn't have the ball, Sergio Busquets dropped into that centre-back position. Like we saw for the goal, he was exposed a little bit for pace. They got in behind us. It was a shot that ricocheted off the post, and Castro was there to turn it in for Sporting Gijón. They got one back, but it was good for us and then to push on and get more goals and make sure that we saw the game out, to sort of avoid what we saw against Leganés, where it became very, very nervy, where the fans were starting to get a bit nervous and a bit of discontent was getting around the stadium. We did very, very well tonight to avoid that and keep building this confidence ahead of the few games we've got coming up in our season, which are very, very key indeed. And Luis Suárez made absolutely sure that he was getting on the score sheet tonight. He might have got that first goal taken away from him via an own goal, but the second goal from him, or the third goal for us on the night, there was absolutely no doubt. It was a ball into the box. He chested it down, and it was a brilliant volley. It was an absolutely stunning volley, a lot of power, a lot of accuracy. It was a sort of hatred of a finish. He smashed it into the back of the net, and before half-time, that was 3-1, and we looked very, very comfortable. Luis Enrique then, for me, made the very, very good decision. He brought off Luis Suárez, who'd got his goal, his 19th of the La Liga season, and on came Paco Alcácer, who probably would have been a little bit disappointed not to have started this game, but it was actually really nice for him to come off the bench when we were already winning. There was no pressure on him. He could come on, make his impact, and do as he pleased when we were already 3-1 ahead, and that's exactly what he did. Credit to him. He came off the bench, his attitude was right, he got on the end of a Messi pass. Messi could have taken it on his own, he could have gone for goal on his own, but he didn't. He squared the ball to Paco Alcácer, who, to be fair, made no mistake. He wasn't rusty at all. He hasn't played an awful lot in the last few weeks, but it was an absolutely brilliant finish into the top right-hand corner of the net. That was 4-1, and then it was quite an interesting signal to see Messi rested as well. He was taken off on the hour mark. Andre Gomes came on. To be honest, a lot of criticism being levelled of Andre Gomes of late, but he did have some nice touches when he came on. There was a few passes and a few nice touches from him, which might give him a little bit of confidence going into the rest of the season. And then was the goal that I really wanted to see. I think Neymar, certainly over the last few weeks, has performed so well. He hasn't always got the credit for that because he hasn't always been the one who was scoring the goal and making the headline, but he's played really, really well, not only in his overall play, but also in his work rate, and he deserved that goal tonight. He took the free kick with Messi not on the field, and it was a stunning free kick into that top right-hand corner. Keeper had no chance. He tried to get to it, but couldn't quite do it. There was so much power in it, and it was right in the top corner. That then was 5-1, and then the 6th goal came just a few minutes from time. Neymar and Rakitić, again, like the Suárez goal a little bit, he was just unleashing a bit of fury. He smashed it home from a tight angle, blasted it into the roof of the net, and that basically secured a very, very resounding win. Sergio Roberto with the assist for that goal. But it was a very, very good win in all accounts, really. What we managed to do was, again, try this sort of three at the back system, which seemed to work in most parts today when we had the ball. You know, we looked very, very structured. We looked like we had a bit more control in the midfield. Because, of course, when you go with three at the back, you add another body in that midfield area. And when you've got four in there, it's much more easy to sort of gain that control, make sure that everybody has a bit of space, and you can really orchestrate things from the middle of the park there. Because if you want, you've got Rafinha, you've got Neymar, who can give you width. Denis Suárez played again tonight, who also sort of floated around. He was wide sometimes, and again, he was in the centre midfield when he needed to be. And I think tonight we coped really well without the likes of Piqué, without the likes of Iniesta. Really, really good to see some players coming in and making a statement. Rafinha, once again, he played well against Atletico Madrid, and he played well against tonight. Luis Enrique clearly does have faith in Rafinha. But it was a good performance all round, really, because the most important thing as well, like I said, we've got Celta Vigo coming up the weekend, and we've got PSG there next week. Most important thing was us being able to rest some players. Suárez goes off at half-time, gets a half rest of football. Messi goes off after an hour. That's a very big 30 minutes rest for him. Because now on the weekend, I think against Celta Vigo, it's not an easy game at all. It is at home, though. We have to go for the win. We have to go with the best team we've got. I don't think we can afford to be resting players. You don't really want to go and rest Messi, Suárez or Neymar or any other really key players. This was the game to do it. Luis Enrique, for me, I think he'll be strong in his team selection. I think he won't mess around. He's not going to take any risk, even though PSG is coming and it'll only be a few days away. He's not going to want to risk that momentum and that confidence going into that PSG game, because if we get beat by Celta or draw, the attitude, the sort of level, the mood, the morale, it'll drop. And that's exactly what we want to avoid. We've got to make a real statement against Celta. That'll be 4 out of 4 wins since we lost to PSG. We beat Leganes, albeit in quite unconvincing circumstances. We went to the Calderon, put down a real marker. That was an excellent win on the weekend against Atletico Madrid, and tonight we were really outstanding at home against Sporting Gijón. The most important thing to do now is go into that game against Celta with a strong line and just ensure that we win the game, because that's the most important thing, carrying on this momentum ahead of an absolutely colossal tie in the Champions League with PSG, and making sure that we go into it with this same confidence, with this same belief, because that's going to be the most important thing when we face PSG. We know we've got the talent for it. We know that we can score goals against them. My reasoning would be, if they've scored 4 goals against us, surely we can score 4 against PSG, because there's no way you can say that PSG are levels ahead of us in terms of their game, because they're simply not. You know, they're second in Liga on this season. The most important thing on that night at the Camp Nou, the fans are going to be fantastic. It's going to be a real occasion at the Camp Nou. The most important thing for us, though, is belief. We have to believe in that game that we can get through it. Of course, it is extremely unlikely. No team has ever come close to overturning the sort of deficit that we've got to do. We don't have an away goal. There's so many things stacked against us and stacked in PSG's favour going into that tie. But one thing, if we can come out of it believing that we can go there and get a result. We've had some good performances. We've got a new sort of system now. It's going to be very, very interesting to see whether Luis Enrique goes with a back 3 against Celta Vigo, or whether he reverts back to a back 4 with the right back. You know, Sergio Roberto, is he going to come back into the team? We don't know. That's going to be key, because I think if Luis Enrique goes with 3 at the back against Celta, I think he's going to stick with that against PSG. If he goes back to the 4, then I think we may do that against PSG. I think, to be honest, though, best thing is to stick with his 3, because not only, you know, for the next few games, you've got to remember the Copa del Rey final, Sergio Roberto is going to be suspended. So if we stick with this 3, we've definitely got more control in the midfield. We're definitely more sort of aware of where we're supposed to be. The structure of the team is a lot better if we can just work on it defensively, because when we've got the ball, it's brilliant. But when we lose the ball, I'm not altogether sure that those 3 defenders sort of know exactly where they're supposed to be. Busquets' role as well. He's got to know when to drop in and whether he's got to be that second centre-back, because at times tonight it looked a little bit unsure. I'm sure there's a lot of work that's gone into it on the training ground, but if we can get that really perfect, if we're going to do it against Celta, it's going to need to be good, because there's certainly no pushovers, and we're still in this league title race. You know, we're talking about the Champions League, but Real Madrid has slipped up a bit of late. They really should have slipped up against Villarreal, albeit for a very, very dubious penalty decision which was given on the night. But we are definitely still in this. They play Las Palmas tonight. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how they get on in that game. That's going to be, again, key in the title race. But don't forget forget, we go to the Bernabeu. We still have a Clásico to come. That's an opportunity for us to pick up points, and it's going to be very, very interesting to see if we can do it. So leave your thoughts down below, guys, on the match tonight. How do you think the players performed? What did you think of the system? Do you like the three at the back? Do you think we should stick with that for the Celta game? And again, looking forward to that PSG game. Are we going to go with that system again? And do you believe that we can do it? I look forward to hearing your comments, guys. I really appreciate all the welcome backs. It's great to be back. I'll see you very, very soon. But until then, as always, Vesca, El Barça.